I'm one of those people who started performing while they were too young to be afraid. So I've come out here in my garage to talk to you about stage fright. Why? Because stage fright is a different kind of fear. It's one of those fears that's combined with something you want to do very much. So it's hard for people to relate to who don't have the desire. They'll just say, well, then don't sing. But you want to sing, and yet you're afraid. And that's the same dilemma I faced with a motorcycle. For years I wanted to ride a motorcycle, but inside I was harboring a fear of it. And I read all the stuff about visualizing successful events and stuff, but every time I closed my eyes to visualize riding a motorcycle down the street, the dream always ended in a fiery crash. Now, I've never had those kind of dreams about singing or performing, but I certainly know people do. So I wanted to relate it to something I had fear with and overcame. Now, the thing about visualization is that it only occupies your thinking. And with fear, not only does it occupy your thinking, but also your body. It becomes a physical dilemma. There are very physical symptoms that are the result of fear, especially stage fright, and those have to be handled in the same arena. In other words, like fire against fire, you've got to fight physical symptoms in the physical arena. So that means the best way, the only way to handle stage fright is to get on stage. Because the only way you're going to win this battle is to get into the ring. Now, when I say step into the ring, obviously I mean step out on stage. But if we use the boxing ring as a metaphor here, it's easier to visualize the battle. Now, in one corner, we've got you. And who's in the other corner? Now, most people would visualize probably the audience. And that's not true, actually. And it's also not a good way to think of your audience. In fact, the opponent is you as well. Because in one corner, you've got your desire to sing, and in the other corner, you've got your fear of performing. And now you're going to duke it out, and the battle is for your body. You see, when stage fright throws its first blow and strikes that fear in your heart, there's a release of epinephrine, cortisol, and worst of all, adrenaline. And what that does to your body is get your heart pounding, your breathing shallow, shuts down your saliva glands, relaxes your bladder, reduces your hearing, you lose your peripheral vision, you start shaking, and your muscles lock up. Now keep in mind, you can have any or all of these symptoms in varying degrees. But once fear takes over or hijacks your body, the battle is on for fighting back for those bodily functions. They're very important to the foundation of singing. But not only that, it's that loop. You want to break that fear loop so your body starts sending a message back up to your brain that everything isn't so bad. So let's go down the symptoms. The shallow breathing and the heart pounding are actually good to combine. What you want to do is just breathe in very slowly. Let's say a 10 count, slow on the way in, hold for 10, and then release for 10. If your saliva duct shuts down and you get dry mouth, what I like to do is to take my pinky and just put it in the side of my mouth. Because your finger is salty, that will re-trigger saliva production. The relaxation of the bladder is just a timing issue. Just make sure you build into your pre-gig ritual that you're going to take a pre-gig pee. The reduction in hearing issue, I combat in an ironic way by putting in earplugs. Now, I've covered this in a previous video, but basically, by making your brain work harder to hear, it's called sensory deprivation, you highlight those things that you want to key in on. And the same thing worked for me on the motorcycle. By plugging up, it made me more sensitive to the things I wanted to listen for. And the loss of peripheral vision just means you want to get into the habit of moving your head from side to side, sweeping when you're on stage, just so that you know you're taking in the full field of your audience. Exact same thing, obviously, is true on the motorcycle. And that brings me to the muscles shaking and locking up. Nothing scarier than when you're on a motorcycle and it feels like the handlebars are frozen. They're not, obviously, but that's what fear can do to your arms. It can lock them up and make it feel like you can't steer. And that's the same thing when we're holding a microphone so tight. It makes it feel like you can't get rid of this tension, like your hands got a mind of their own. Well, they don't, and you got to battle for them back. So I make sure that I let go of the mic stand, let go of the microphone. If you don't use one, a mic stand, then just make sure you're holding the mic gently. Don't grab onto it. That's just your fear telling you how to hold a microphone. It's not that heavy. It doesn't require that much effort. And once again, sending that message back up to your brain by relaxing and opening up your arms. The same thing I had to do by letting go of the handlebars a little bit, keeping them loose in my grip when I'm on the motorcycle. It sends a message back up to your brain that things aren't so fearful. And so even though fear is all in the mind, once it starts taking over your body, you've got a physical battle on your hands, and it's got to be waged round by round, issue by issue, taking back your body to the lubricated and neutral and flexible environment you know is so good for singing. I'm Mark Baxter for Lesson.com.